Hello! My name's Kayla, this is Cinnamon the Squirt Bunny, and I'm pretty sure I figured out how we're getting our starters in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. In this video, I'm going to be analyzing every scene from the second Pokemon Scarlet and Violet trailer and determining where they are located. I'll be including clips from the first trailer as well, since we now have more context for them. We're going to start with the player character's house. It's surrounded mostly by a drop-off with water below. There's cliffs behind it in the background, including this really tall waterfall cliff, which is an important landmark because we can also see it in this clip. So our player character's house is right here. We know the living room is to the left because of all the couches, and the kitchen/dining room is to the right because we can see a picture of food on the wall, suggesting that this is a place to eat. Our room is set up like this, as you can see from this part of the trailer. Interestingly, it looks like we can see the cliffs out the window, which is a cool detail since that's the direction this window is facing. Another thing to note is that the player character's mom, or potentially grandmother if they really want to drive home the past versus future theme, likely lives in a bedroom below the player character on the ground floor. Plus, that would mean that we're visiting for a while, which makes sense because you'd think if we lived there, we would probably know our neighbor Nemona, but the dialogue suggests that we're meeting her for the first time. Moving on to what I'm going to call the hometown, even though there's really only 2 houses on it. Across the street from us is our new best friend Nemona's house. We know it's her house because she's standing right in front of it. And most people don't just stand in other people's fenced-in yards like that. We know that the starters run to Nemona's house because in this clip, she's in front of her house and asks if we're these three's trainer, which means we must have met the starters before getting to her house, and then they ran off there. We know Nemona doesn't give them to us directly because she doesn't know who their trainer is. And we know the professor doesn't give them to us because then why would Nemona direct her question to us? This means that we probably don't get the starters from the professor directly, and we almost definitely get them right away. The starters seem to be enjoying Nemona's house, with Sprigatito in the garden, Quaxley in the Dratini fountain, and Fuecoco on the porch. Considering that at the end of the tutorial, aka the trip from our home to the main city, we battle Nemona, and she has 3 Pokemon, we might get to keep all 3 starters for a bit. Sort of test them out and pick which one we want to keep. But I think it's more likely that we'll only be using 1 starter after leaving Nemona's house, since I'm pretty sure that we get mostly free reign of the entire region after talking to the professors in the main city. I'm pretty sure that Nemona is going to give us a catching tutorial on this beginning route. This will also show how she's bad at throwing Pokeballs. Additionally, note that this clip of Quaxley with the lighthouse allows us to place Nemona's house right here in this clip. We can even sort of see her house for a second. The rocks there match up to this clip, meaning that this is the beach behind her house. We can catch Pokemon there. How cool is that? And we also know that near the lighthouse, we can catch Magnemite. Super cool. Now let's look at this aerial view of the path between our house and Nemona's. Note that there's a trail going off to the left. That same trail is shown in this clip. We know that they're the exact same trail because this bush and cliff match with this bush and cliff. So the power of science, guys, stands at this intersection, but he only shows up after we've talked to Nemona. Also, there's a sign with an arrow pointing down the trail. This is likely pointing to the main city. While we don't know exactly how long this trail is, we do know that there's a Pokemon Center near the end of it, just before the front door to the city. We battle Nemona right near this Pokemon Center, right outside at the front door to the city. This is our first Pokemon battle, which means at this point, we've probably gone through most of the tutorial-like aspects of the game. After defeating Nemona, we'll head into the main city. I say main city, but so far, it's the only city we've seen, which is honestly a little bit concerning. We've seen glimpses of quite a few towns though, so don't get too worried. But anyways, this is where we'll be able to explore a whole bunch of shops and likely customize our character, which is really nice because like a lot of people, I want to make my character look as much like me as soon as possible. We can see from this shot that the 2 banners in front of the school are the same colors, proving that this shot is showing the banners in separate games. Further proof is that behind the Violet logo is another Violet logo directly on the building. So no, there won't be 2 schools within this building. There probably won't be 2 schools at all. Inside the school, we'll meet our game's professor. We know this is where they're located because the architecture on the wall behind them matches the architecture on the outside of the building. After talking with the professor, the true open world experience begins. These 4 trainers represent not just multiplayer, but also how from this point on, we are able to experience the true open world of these games. I overlaid this map of Spain with clips from the trailer to show where each location is. Areas with more clips, like the bottom left, are more likely to be accessible early game. This makes sense because we start in the bottom left. Other areas, especially the top left, are likely only going to be accessible after we have access to certain ride Pokemon. This is also reflected in the wild Pokemon that appear there, which are all final evolutions and are probably stronger than Pokemon like Pikachu or Smoliv. Let's start with the beginning area, which I've talked about a bit already. In my original video, I predicted that the lighthouse would be on the mid-left side, but I thought that the starting town would be in the bottom left corner of the map. Now we know that since the starting town is close to the lighthouse, it's also on the mid-left side. The scene with Lechonk shows an early route that we will likely go through on our way to the main city, just past the science guy. Not Bill Nye, this science guy. It'll eventually open up to a more grassy area, but not as open as a later area. We see cliffs and a path in the background, which is probably the same path this kid is standing by based on the cliffs in the background. Of course, we won't be able to battle this little guy until after we've defeated Nemona, which makes me hopeful that we'll be able to rematch trainers. If instead of going east from the starting town towards the main city, we go south, we'll run across these ruins in the bottom left. These are the same ruins Venonat runs by, jumps by, frolics by. Anyways, those same ruins are also in this clip with Petalil and Bouncewheat. Judging by the kind of trees and pools of water, this is likely near there as well, and also this, which has more grass, but the trees and boulders give it away. There's also a town in the background. There's a path right here that might match up with this Meowth path. The top label says something city, which is likely the main city. It's pointing in the correct direction for that to be true. I'm not sure what the bottom arrow is pointing towards. It could be the town from the Pikachu clip, or it might be pointing towards whatever these flags are, since the aesthetics of the area match with this area, which would be next along this path. Further down the path is the desert, but I don't think we'll be encouraged to go there very early since there aren't many clips of the desert in either trailer. Maybe the path is initially blocked by boulders or something? The desert connects up to this rocky area where we can find a lot of fire types, and soon-to-be fire types. We also see both a bit of the main city, the windmills in the background, and a hint of a town nearby. These details allow us to place this clip somewhere between these various landmarks. A view from the top of the clip here is shown in this shot, which also shows the windmills and potentially a town over here. This town might be the location of this windmill stadium, which is almost definitely a gym. Underneath that town is a cave. While there may be other caves, this is the only one we've seen so far. This clip of Colossal might be showing us the inside of this cave, as well as this clip of Larvitar. If Colossal and Larvitar are in the same cave, we may not be able to access this until later in the game. Next, let's talk about the snow area. Judging by the clip of the main city, we know this is in the top right corner of the map. This is another area that we don't see very much of, so it may be more late game. Also, somebody get this kid a jacket. This clip is interesting because it's the closest we've gotten to Kalos. It makes me hopeful that we might at least be able to go to Cloud City since it's a post-game area anyways. Visiting all of Kalos is probably unlikely, but maybe we can just go to Cloud since it's right there and it's separated from the rest of the region. The final area is the giant lake, which is in the top left corner. It's at a higher elevation with its waters pouring out into the ocean. This is likely a late game area since it's probably hard to get to, and the Pokemon here are all final evolutions. So yeah, that's the entire map of the Gen 9 region, which still doesn't have a name for some reason. I hope this video was helpful in explaining the details that we currently know about the Scarlet and Violet region. If you learned something new, make sure to subscribe, leave a like, and share it with your friends. And if you noticed something I missed, let me know in the comments. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!